This is One on One. Jordan Thomas, a Rhodes Scholar, a graduate of Princeton University, born and raised in the ironbound section of the city. Went to what high school?
To University High School, Southside.
You are about to embark on a fascinating, very rare experience. Very few students who come from Newark, New Jersey are Rhodes Scholars.
Yep.
You're about to go to Oxford.
Yep, sure am.
Describe that.
It's extremely exciting, being a part of the Rhodes Network. It's a scholarship that gives you fully paid tuition to study at the University of Oxford in England, and very flexible options for you. You essentially have the entire course offerings at Oxford available to you. So I've decided in the first year I'll study policy evaluation and get a master's in that. And then the second year, still sort of keeping my options open, but it'll probably either be an MBA or an MPP, Master's in Public Policy. And then you have other students there who are studying for doctorates, students there who are doing 2-year masters rather than 1-year masters. And so it's essentially a network of individuals who are striving to better themselves in a way that allows them to, in line with the mission of the scholarship, fight the world's fight, right? So we all have this social impact that we want to have on the world, and it's part of being this network and having these opportunities available to you that allow you to do that. And so I'm just so excited to think about what I'm about to embark on and the way that I'm about to develop to really allow me to have an impact on people in the world in the way that I want to.
You're also going to be heading to Yale Law School.
To Yale Law School, and so I've decided that that's part of how I want to have my impact in the world, is I want to do it through law and policy. And so in addition to applying to the Rhodes Scholarship, I decided that I wanted to go right in and apply to law school, and that was my dream school. It's the #1 school in the country, so.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm a Rutgers guy, but I get it, Yale. Ironically, when I met you, it was at a conference that was being held around the corner at Rutgers.
Yes.
And Cory Booker was standing about 10, 15 feet away when I first met you. Cory Booker, a young man who is in the United States Senate, may in fact choose to run for the presidency. Ivy League education.
Right.
Question, is he a role model for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I look at what he's accomplished, very similar background. He went to Stanford undergrad, then Rhodes Scholarship at Oxford, and then Yale Law School. The only difference there is that I went to Princeton. I won't fault him for it. But I just...
Yeah, like Stanford's a terrible school, but go ahead.
But I look at, just his desire to better himself, right? To continue to rise up the educational ladder and to just equip himself with all the tools that he needed to then come back and serve people, which is what he did. He came to Newark, served on council, mayor, now serving the nation in the Senate.
Serving other people, big deal for you.
It is. I
Why?
mean, well, I think about the fact that I've been blessed with certain gifts, also certain opportunities in my life that allowed me to get to where I am, right? You don't become a Rhodes Scholar without a lot of help along the way. And so I'm just so appreciative of all that's made this possible, and I believe that I have a responsibility to now pay it forward and give it back to my city and to other people, right? And so any way that I can try to use my talents, use my privileges and opportunities to now give other people opportunities, other people resources, I want to do so. And that's where I get my energy. I get my energy from working with people. I know that in somehow, some way, I'm really making a tangible difference.
As a student of communication, someone's fascinated by it, watch other people's ability to communicate or inability to communicate. I'm curious, your communication skills, your ability to comfortably, confidently communicate on camera right now at the ripe old age of 21 comes from where?
A lot of just looking at role models, looking at individuals like you who managed to do it and have been doing it for a long time. Individuals like you mentioned, Cory Booker. I mean, I grew up in the era of Barack Obama, who I consider to be one of the great orators and most charismatic politicians of our time. I've sort of set as a mission to myself to constantly think about how I can evolve, what are my weaknesses and how can I target them and try to make them strengths. And so I wasn't always as confident speaking.
You were not?
No, not at all.
He was great leaders, great communicators, they're just born.
No,
it's just
not
natural to them. You say?
No, I was extremely nervous to speak in groups. I remember my first experience in public speaking. I had to give a speech. It was like a poem that I had to read in front of the entire school at university. And
University High.
University High. And I was standing there in front of the entire school, and I get ready to start reading, and my hands start shaking, and the paper starts shaking.
For real?
And then it just gets worse, right? Because it's all this psychological game, right? Where it's like you know your hands are shaking, and that you start to psych yourself out, and it was just a disaster. And in that moment, I told myself, I am going to apply myself to making sure that I can now command a room. I want to speak confidently, and I started looking at who I thought did a really great job of speaking with confidence, of articulating their thoughts well, right? I don't like to use a lot of ums. I don't like to use a lot of likes and these other fillers. And so it was an applied effort by me to get better at that. And I think that's what life is about. It's about finding your weaknesses and trying to make them strengths.
I'm so fascinated by this. I mean, obviously I teach in the field of communication. I study it and write about it. So when someone says, this is the experience I had. Listen, you may ask, why am I making a big deal about this? And I'm not going to turn this into a Tony Robbins seminar. I got to tell you something. The idea that you saw that, not so much as a weakness, but as I call it, an opportunity to develop,
right,
to grow, to improve. That's a big deal. That is a sign of leadership.
Thank you.
To look inside and say, hey, wait a minute. I didn't do that well. Now, you could have folded.
Yeah.
Why didn't you fold?
Because that's just my mentality, is I'm never going to give up. Right? I don't believe that. I think that this is when we get into these discussions about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, right? Fixed mindset would have said, well, I'm just a terrible orator.
This is just the way I am.
That's just
That's
how
the way
I
I'm
am.
wired.
I can't get any better.
You say?
And I say, absolutely not. I'm going to work. My motto is I'm going to give everything 110%. I'm going to go that extra mile. I'm going to be the hardest worker in the room. And I don't care if you're more talented than me, if you're more gifted than me, you're not going to outwork me. And that's where I've gotten where I am. And so I looked at that and I said, I don't care if you're a more naturally gifted orator, but you're not going to be a better orator in the long term because I'm going to work to outpace you.
I'm gonna throw something at you don't expect. I'm a big believer. And you grew up in one part of the city, I grew up in another. Let's just say not at the same time.
Right.
Okay? But I have this crazy idea that not everyone, but a lot of folks who grew up in Newark, there's a level of toughness. I mean, there are other parts of this country, I'm sure people have it.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that person down and convince that person he or she can't keep coming back and getting better and make it.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Something about this city?
I say that all the time, is that Newark built me, right? I am where I am because of Newark, not despite Newark. And I think it's like you said, it's people in Newark have this chip on their shoulder, right?
There is a chip.
We are resilient, and I think it's in line with the city, right? It's a city that's gone through tough times, but we always believe that a better future is coming. And we're going to work 110% to make sure that that better future does come. And so, you know, we operate with this mentality of you can't keep us down. We are a part of this great city. We've been built by it. We've been shaped by it. And watch out, because here we come.
You're never going to stop trying to get better, are you?
No, and as long as I have people like my parents and like so many others who continue to help me and invest in my crazy ideas, I hope that we can make a better future.
They're not crazy. And by the way, I know you know this, but there's a lot of buzz about you. And particularly for those of us who are from this city, we're proud of you.
Thank you.
And excited about your future, not just in terms of your own success, but what you potentially could do for other people.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by the Northward Center, St. Joseph's Health, PSC&G, TD Bank, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and by MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.